Today we'll be going over the thermocouple lab. So when you get your bin, you'll have two thermocouple decks. You'll have a mask that will have a thermocouple attached to it, an infrared temperature gauge, some wire strippers for the thermocouple that you'll be making, a thermocouple without the ends connected that you have to make, 3 goggles. You must wear lab goggles, safety goggles this lab, a glass thermometer for you to compare the temperatures to, and a pre-made thermocouple that is of a different type. So the first things first, you open up your DAC, and you notice that this DAC is a special DAC for thermocouples. It's got a USB cord, and then it's got this little connection pane here. And then you can see on the right, it's got the plus, and on the left, it's got the negative. And if you look at your connection wire for your thermocouple, you'll see that on one side, it has the plus and the minus. Plus on the right, minus on the left. You connect the plus into the DAC. And then you'll notice that if you try and hook it the other way, it won't go in. So you can only hook these into the DAC itself in one direction. Then you hook that to the computer. And you do the same thing with the pre-made thermocouple and the thermocouple attached to the mass. So you will take your DAC, you'll take the pre-made thermocouple, look at the positive on the right, negative on the left. The positive is the thinner one, the negative is always a thicker one. And you'll just plug it into your DAC. So that's how you connect the DACs to the thermocouples. Now, I'm going to show you how to make a thermocouple. And the method I'm going to use for making thermocouples in this lab is soldering. So you take your soldering iron, you should have one at your station. Your TA will give you a strip of solder. And what you're going to do is, when you strip this brown section, you notice that there's a red and a blue wire inside in separate insulation. You then need to strip the insulation off of each of the wires, as done here, and make sure that the housing for it down here, the brown part, is also stripped far enough so you can pull them apart. Then what you're going to do is you're going to make and bend the wire and make a connection at the point. And you want to try and get it so the tips are just barely connected. So you're going to bend them to a point, as shown here. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take your soldering iron and your thermocouple tip. You're going to place the thermocouple on the table like so. You're going to take your solder in your one hand, your soldering iron in your other, and you're going to hold the soldering iron behind the thermocouple, and on the opposite side you place the solder until it starts melting. And then you solder the tips together. So you go ahead, put the tips down, and then you get enough solder around the tips so that you get a nice bead on it. And you want a nice uniform bead that covers both sides of the thermocouple in like a ball of material, so it's got a nice connection. And then, once the connection's made, you can see here that I got a nice little bead on the tip there. And you can see that it's connected on both sides. And that's what you want. You want a bead that looks like that. And once you're done with that, you've made your thermocouple, and now you can connect it to the DAC and calibrate it. And that's all you need to know for Lab 5 on making a thermocouple and how to connect the DACs.